we have to keep churning the truth that Baba has told us so that we stay in awareness. Now you see, awareness is the basis of our thought, attitude, action. You think, you speak, you do as you are. And that is precisely awareness. And you see, awareness is a very interesting thing because, there are people who in the world also who tell stories about awareness. But nobody knows, nobody can give us the awareness. Okay, so the giver of awareness is Baba. But there are stories in the world where awareness is praised and the importance of awareness is described. So I'll first share one such story. And in that story they say that there was the egg of an eagle, and that eagle laid the egg amongst, eggs of the chicken. And then when they all hatched, it was one eagle and all chickens. But the eagle did not know, I'm an eagle and I'm different from these. So then the eagle ate what the chickens ate. The eagle did what they did, and the chicken never flew. So the eagle also did not know that she could fly. But then one day, after many years, the eagle saw an eagle in the sky. And then she saw that I look more like this one that's flying, and I don't look like the ones I've been living with. And then she starts seeing that eagle very closely. And then she figures out that I'm very much like this one, but this one is flying, I'm not flying. So how is this one flying? So then she starts to flutter her wings and then spread them, and she attempts to fly, and then she flies. So that is the story of awareness, that when the eagle doesn't know it's an eagle, it can't fly. Now the thing is that awareness is a very slippery thing. Baba comes and gives us a lot of awareness about our home, our journey, our present time. The most important piece of awareness that Baba gives us is the beginning, middle and end of our journey. And in the beginning, middle and end, the most important piece of awareness is the present time. And Baba gives us all this awareness, but then does it always stay with us? Are you always aware of who you are really? What time is it? Where do you have to go and what do you have to do? Are you always aware of these things constantly, or that awareness slips away? That is the big question. Now I'll tell you another story where there is a sadhu, and that sadhu has a lot of disciples. And then the sadhu has to go for a journey. So he knows that these disciples have been staying with him for very long now, and they mostly know everything that needs to be done. And there is one particular disciple who is entrusted with everything. And that disciple has a thought that tomorrow my guru will leave the ashram, and 1 hour from now he will go into silence. So let me just, ask in the form of a chit that is there something that the guru wants me to remember? Because basically I know everything, but is there something that the guru says that pay good attention to this? So he writes in a chit and submits it to the guru, and then the guru gives an answer. And he opens the chit and he reads awareness written on that. And then he puts a question mark on that awareness and he sends it to the guru again. And then the guru again writes awareness, awareness. And then again he puts a question mark, third time also the guru writes awareness, awareness, awareness. So what does it mean? It means that you know everything, just remember it. If you know everything and if you're not in awareness, then you practically don't know anything. So this is important, you see, because we know everything. I know who I am. I know I am a deity soul. But why does that not translate into behavior all the time? Because you forget. And whenever you are not in awareness, you are having a weak moment. And in that moment, many things get to you, influence you, disturb you, which don't when you are in awareness. Yes, every Brahmin, sometimes we are in awareness, sometimes we are not. And whenever I am in awareness, I am a very powerful soul. And when I am not, I am as good as anybody who has no knowledge. Yes, that's the beautiful thing. And this thing about awareness, so the soul has a very selective memory. The soul has this capacity to select what it wants to hold in its awareness. And I have seen many people who, so I remember there was this very wealthy brother, and every time he would sit and talk about his life, he would start describing a phase where he had nothing to eat. And he went hungry for 3 days. And but that was 50 years back. But even after 50 years, whenever he would sit, he would just start describing that time, and his eyes would start welling up and tears would flow from his eyes. And I used to tell him that, you see, it's so interesting that if you remember something, because you are always remembering it, so you can remember it suddenly, and then when you remember that, you can actually feel the same feelings that you felt 50 years back. Yes, and okay, so in this situation it was hunger, and he experienced hunger physically. But just remember a time when you experienced fear, and it was just in your head. So you were alone in a room, and then, but it was just in the head, it was in your mind, it was not something that happened. I remember there was this one episode, one brother narrated to me that he was living in a cold country all by himself, and he said that every night I would just stay awake and I would feel that there is somebody who is just coming and trying to break in, or coming to harm me. And he said that nothing happened. I stayed there 5 years, but it was all in my head, but I cannot get over that episode. So you see that if you are always in awareness of something that happened in the past, that thing, that episode can make you feel miserable right in this moment also. Right? Similarly, Baba tells us that now you have a choice, just like you have a choice about the thoughts you want to think. You have a choice about the awareness you want to hold. And Baba says, in your awareness, hold the awareness that you are a star in the sky of peace. Yes, so just remember that you are that soul who lived in the world of peace. And then you are that soul who lived in a world of happiness for so long. And then it was a very tiny phase when things were not right. And right now you are under the canopy of Shiv Baba himself. And your future is very certain that you're again going back to your world of happiness. But what can you really hold in your awareness? That which you churn constantly. So why that person can still cry at what happened 50 years back is because he has been remembering that always. He has been churning that always. And body consciousness, in body consciousness, we are taught to do things very wrongly. And people will tell you, don't forget the worst phases of your life because they are your reality and they will teach you humility. Yes, and because of that, that person who is a very wealthy person at this time, he is remembering that episode where he was in great poverty and misery and hunger. And why? Because you are taught to remember those phases. People tell you don't forget your struggles, people tell you don't forget your bad times, people say don't forget your humble background because that is who you really are. Even if you have grown massively, you are still that poor person that you were. But Baba says that is Maya telling you to remember all that. Baba says, remember that you are a star in the sky of peace. You are the world sovereign. When you were there in Satyug, there was only one religion, one kingdom, and you were the master of that kingdom. And you had everything. And Baba says that for 2500 years you have enjoyed everything. There is nothing that was unattained, unacquired. And sometimes, I have this feeling when people say, that your path is a path of renunciation, and then you people are renouncing, all the sensual pleasures. But I always feel that we have had 2500 years, full 2500 years of everything. So our stomach is so full that it doesn't feel like renunciation. So you don't fast on a full stomach, do you? So on a full stomach, you don't say you're fasting but it's all about your awareness. If you feel that, I have had so much of happiness, then these letting go of the sensual pleasure of the impure and, what do you say, very, very impure kind is not a big deal. And then Baba says, stay in the awareness of who you're playing your part with right now, with Shiv Baba himself, and what is he making you. And when you churn on this thing constantly, that I am the deity soul, then I am the one who Baba has chosen in the end. I am the one who has done 2500 years of bhakti also. And now I fully well know the difference between bhakti and gyan. So Baba says, when you churn on these things, then you attain a stage within yourself which is an aware and elevated stage. And from that stage, the actions of a Brahmin are very natural and normal. So, if you remember that you are the pure soul who has lived 2500 years in absolute purity, then is purity a difficult thing for you? No, but Baba says that actions are influenced by your stage of awareness. But if you remember that I am somebody who struggled for impurity, yes, and now I have access to it, then you cannot leave that impurity because it's very valuable for you. So it's all about the awareness. Now I'll also talk something from experience. Sometimes people just keep churning. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to do this. But that doesn't translate into action. Yes, students keep repeating to themselves, I have to study, I have to study, I have to study. But it doesn't translate into study many times. Because if you churn on what you have to do, you cannot study, you cannot do that. But if you churn on your capacity to do it, that you are fully capable of doing it, if you enhance your consciousness of yourself that you are a fully capable soul, then you can do everything very easily. And you see, when we talk about awareness, it's mostly about these 4 questions. Who am I, in the sense, what are my capacities? Who is my companion? What is my aim? And in consonance with the aim, what do I have to do now? And when you answer these 4 questions in a soul conscious manner, then you can generate that elevated stage from which every action feels very easy and natural to do. Every elevated action, that which looked difficult, will become very easy to do. And you have to churn on these 4 things in the light of knowledge. Who are you? You are a pure, peaceful, powerful, loveful being of light. You are a deity soul. You are the one who has spent 2500 years in happiness, peace, purity. You have ruled the world. You have been the master of the kingdom. Yes? Is managing a household a big deal for you? You have ruled with love. Do you understand? You have not ruled with force. You have ruled with love. So can't you now manage everything with love? So you have that capacity of purity, that capacity of love, but you need to stay in that awareness. And it cannot be, 1 second, 1 minute you remind yourself. No, you have to churn on this so deeply that it becomes part of your awareness. And then you also know that you have done 2500 years of bhakti, whether you remember it or not remember it. Yes, and you have done more bhakti than any sadhu, rishi, guru right now. Even when you look at the gurus who are at the pinnacle of their success right now, you have done more bhakti than them. Do you remember that? And this is why, it's very important to keep thinking about who you really are, because if you forget that, then you see somebody who is a bhagat or who is a sannyasi, and then you feel that maybe I don't know as much as they know. But you know both these things, you know bhakti and jnana better than them. Do you understand that? And are you intimidated by anybody who is in saffron colored clothes, or or do you understand that this is a soul and they are on the path of bhakti, and I have finished that path of bhakti and now I am in jnana, and I have understood that 2500 years we do bhakti but it's irrelevant, and then the light that I have seen I have to show this soul. And not in an arrogant way, but in a very knowledgeful way. You have to know who you really are. And even if somebody is, I'll tell you one thing. In this birth, I have not read any Shastra. In this birth, I have not read any Shastra. But I remember that I have read all the Shastras. But even if I don't remember them consciously right now, but I've read all of them, right? That's why Baba is giving me the fruit of devotion. So when I remember that I have read all of that, then if somebody is asking me a question from Shastra, I don't feel uncomfortable. And even if somebody is, reciting a shlok, which I don't understand because it's in Sanskrit, I just tell them, explain it to me in Hindi, and then I'll tell you the significance of this or the practical implication of this. And then they do that, and I'm able to tell them that according to knowledge, it has to be interpreted this way and imbibed this way in life. So, you have to remember that you have seen both these aspects of. So you have to not only remember that you have been in the world of purity and peace and you have those sanskars, but you also know everything that happened. You know the vices also. And I'll tell you one thing, there's this interesting phenomena that people think that those who have adopted celibacy and purity in this life, they cannot tell you the solutions solutions for the problems that arise in the world of impurity. Yes, there is this belief system. But it is very strange that even if we have adopted this life of purity and celibacy in this birth, we've been vicious for 63 births. So, can't we understand the problems of being vicious? It's not such a big deal. And you can understand those problems, you can give those solutions, And there is no problem with that. And then, why would, and sometimes you feel that maybe a person who has not been vicious will feel uncomfortable, uneasy when somebody describes their life of vice to them. No. But if you remember that I know everything, I know the vices, I know devotion, and now I've come out of it, so I am the best person to give the solution to that problem which arises from vice, because I have solved that problem. Anybody who has a vicious life has not solved that problem of vice. They don't know how to come out of it. We know how to come out of it. So the way you have come out, you have to tell them that. And what is the way? I am a soul, I am Baba's child, my nature is purity. So there is no big deal. And I'll tell you, there was this one Mata, and she told me that because you people live a pure life, so you cannot understand the problems of impurity. So I said, are you here to discuss the problem, or are you here to get the solution? So she said, to get the solution. So I said, I've solved the problem of impurity. I am not, it doesn't matter whether I understand impurity. I have solved the problem of impurity, and I have come to this state of purity, so I can help you. And then she said, okay, so let me then tell you. So I said, you just have faith that God has guided you to the right place, and you tell me your problem and I'll tell you the solution. So, and even if you don't tell me the problem, I can still give you the solution because the solution is the same. So you see that this is something that you have to remember, that people in the world who are rolling in vices, they don't have the solution to the problems of those vices. You have the solution. And you should never think that, I am a Kanya, I am a pure soul, I am this, so I cannot understand this and that. If you have never been anxious, can't you give the solution to anxiety? The only thing is you have to be soul conscious. You don't have to dismiss that, this doesn't exist. When somebody says, I'm feeling uncomfortable, you understand that when they are saying they are uncomfortable, they are uncomfortable. And even if you don't understand what that feels like, it's okay. But you can give the solution that Baba gives you, and that solution will work. Yes, and Baba says that never forget your whole journey. And if you remember these things, and the most important aspect, right now you are a Brahmin. You are never alone. You are always under the canopy of Baba. And never forget that you are with Baba. The Almighty, the ocean, the one who everybody prays to is always with you. And never worry about your future. It's certain. Yes, never have this thought, what will happen tomorrow? No. Nothing can go wrong when I am with Baba. Everything, whether I understand it or not understand it, is also another issue. But everything that's happening with me, will happen with me, will always be the best. And Baba says, this is the awareness you need to have. And when you have this kind of awareness, then, fulfilling your mundane duties, fulfilling your duties as a Brahmin, fulfilling your duties as a Brahmin of, doing seva, or staying in remembrance, or staying in purity, or having this attitude of compassion, or having this attitude of, seva towards everybody. It's a very small thing, because you're much bigger than that. And this is why Baba says that awareness is most important, and keep churning on the knowledge that Baba has given you about himself, about your beginning, middle and end. And when you keep churning that, then this awareness is nurtured. Yes, and then Baba also tells us that give everybody the directions that you have received from Baba. And Baba says that the more you stay in awareness, the more you will give. So let me give you a very simple example. Somebody comes and tells you, I'm not well. Okay, so I'm not feeling healthy, I'm feeling upset. So what do you tell them? Go see the doctor or remember Baba? Yes, now the thing is, if you are remembering Baba, you will say remember Baba. But if you are relying on the physical doctor only, you will say go see the doctor. And you will not remember that Baba is the supreme surgeon. And even if you go and see the doctor, Baba will tell you which doctor to see. So, if you first you remember Baba, but if you yourself remember Baba, you will say that. And I remember when I was very early in Gyan, I was in a situation and I asked 5 different Brahmins what to do in this situation. And then 4 of them gave me physical solutions. So, go and talk to this person can help you, or, solve it this way or that way. And there was the 5th one that I went to, that was a sister, and she told me something very nice. She said, just remember Baba. Just remember Baba. So I said, will Baba come and solve it? So she said, yes, remember Baba. So I said, okay. So I remembered Baba. And when I remembered Baba, I didn't go to anybody. The person who could become an instrument to solve it came to me. And that thing was solved. So you see that, but how will you give this direction to somebody if you yourself don't remember Baba? If you don't stay in awareness of your Brahmin stage, your Brahmin duty, your Brahmin dharam, if you are not doing it yourself, if you don't understand that the solution to everything is remembering Baba, staying in purity and having an attitude of faith and good wishes and good feelings, if you don't uphold that in your life, you will not give that solution to anybody in a similar situation. So Baba tells us that you stay in awareness and also bring everyone into awareness. And when somebody's awareness is lost, then they are not capable of powerful actions. But if you are in awareness and you pull them into elevated awareness, then they will also be able to figure out the solutions themselves. Because if you tell somebody the solution, they are not going to go and do it because they don't have the power. But if you share your awareness with them, and awareness resonates in you like a vibration also, so if you share that with them, then they will also rise above their limitations and they will be able to do what looks very difficult at this time to do. Okay, Om Shanti. Let's thank Baba for some time. I am the child of the Almighty. My Baba, the Supreme Star, is the ocean of peace. I am the Master Ocean of Peace. My Baba is the ocean of love. My heart is also incessantly flowing with love. My Baba is the Supreme Authority, the Almighty. I too am the Master Almighty. My Baba is the world benefactor. I am his right hand in this task of world transformation. Just sit with these thoughts for some time.